How are we, my friends? Myself and Mr. Conor Crosby are back as a duo today with the latest episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast. It finished at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace 2, Liverpool 1. And look, Conor, before we get into team selections and performances, I wanted to just start off this by saying they deserve to win that game of football today.
100%. I'm saying starting off 100% now, but yeah, like it's just they could easily have been 4, 5, 6 goals up by half time. Like that was definitely the most we've been dominated by a team in a long, long time. That was horrendous from us and brilliant from them. In fairness, like we could have easily been 3 or 4 or 5 down by half time.
And I have a concern that managers know how to get at us. And it seemed really obvious to me from the first 5-10 minutes, Conor, that every time Crystal Palace got the ball, they were going in behind us. They were overhitting them at times where they were pinging balls behind our fullbacks, behind our centre backs, trying to turn us and force us back. And my question, I guess, is if we all know that this is going to come, surely Arne knows that Palace know what is going to come from this Liverpool team.
That's the thing, like we have looked so shaky at the back, and especially our fullbacks. Both of our fullbacks today were horrendous, or all three. If we want to include Frimpong coming on as well, I thought Szoboszlai somehow looked the best fullback we had. Konate was horrendous. Like we just looked so shaky, and like you said, they just knew exactly what to do. And if not for Alisson today, we would have been God knows where we would have been. He was the only player in that back. He was the only player in the whole team. Let's be honest. In the first half, that was any good. Like he just completely saved us numerous times.
Well, on that, actually, like you've said, yeah. I mean, if we had went in a half time there, folks, 3 or 4-0 down, I don't think any of us could have said it wasn't deserved. Like Conor said, Alisson Becker made 2 or 3 absolutely top-notch world-class saves. The inside of the post bailed us out from a Mateta shot. And we were on the ropes at times. The irony, though, is, Conor, Arne said in his match reaction or his post-match interview that Palace played with a low block. I think that's absolute bullshit, to be honest. I didn't see Palace playing with particularly too much of a low block. And the problems they caused us and what they scored from, mate, was 2 set pieces where we were bullied.
Yeah, like it's one of them things. It wasn't a low block. It was more they were just good defensively. I would argue. I don't think it was a low block at all. Like you said, the 2 set pieces. Like we basically assisted him again. Like Gravenberch basically doing what Endo done last week, just heading it down to them. Like we just can't defend set pieces. And I know Arne touched on that too, saying we have to be better with them. And he's 100% right in that. Like it's just we can't be giving away easy goals like that. It's just no, it can't continue like that.
He did say the league is becoming more and more about set pieces. But yeah, as you've pointed out, we're goddamn awful at them. And then on the other side, he's spoken about a low block, and I don't know if he's trying to use that as an excuse. But my pushback to that would be, well, he was given the keys in the summer to go and find the players to unlock the low block. He brought in Florian Wirtz, we brought in Isak. Obviously, Ekatike not there today because of his own failings with the red card. But the low block excuse isn't going to wash with me this year, mate, because we have the tools and the ability to break that down. And I still argue that really wasn't the low block from Palace. It was good counter-attacking football, direct football. I mean, look at the percentages, Conor. I don't know what the end percentage was, but at one stage we had 72, 73% possession, and yet they were still creating all the chances.
Yeah, I can't remember the final stat, but yeah, we definitely had a lot more than them. And like you said, it's just I don't know what went wrong. Like everything just went wrong. Like we had the ball, and like Slot is going to say that we dominated because we had more of the ball, but they had so many more chances than us. They just could have scored so many goals. It was just we got completely outplayed, and it's not the first time that Slot has been outclassed or outwitted by another manager. Like especially Glasner got us in that Community Shield as well. It's just I don't know what the actual problem is, but we need huge changes or huge improvements moving forward.
So I want to pose this question to Conor and to everybody watching this. What is the point of what we do in possession when we pick up the ball? And there was one point, Conor, today that drove me particularly mad in the second half. We got a throw in down by their corner flag. And within 2 seconds of that throw in, we were back on the halfway line and just about inside our own half. Any other team in the league, like Palace did at the end, would have gone for a direct long throw into the box, put up the centre backs and tried to cause trouble. But we are so keep the ball for what? We're not doing nothing with it. If Arne thinks moving the ball side to side and through the centre backs is going to help, it isn't. All it's doing is just giving teams a chance to reset. And every single time we're checking back inside and letting them get back into shape. Surely, Conor, if you want to play a low block, You've got to move the ball around quickly, try to create overloads, try to force errors, try to press high up the pitch, try to do anything to break down that team other than looking for the perfect pass when there is nobody making space to find that pass. Nobody dropped between the lines. Nobody. The amount of times our players got the ball and shrugged the shoulder. Frimpong had a throw on the right in the second half. And no Liverpool player even bothered to come near him. No one within 20 yards of him at one point. I am absolutely baffled with that. So I guess my point is, what's the point of keeping the ball if we're just god-awful with it?
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, like, as I looked at the stats there a second ago, we had an 89% passing accuracy, which looks great on paper. But then when you actually watch us play, it's like we just give the ball away so many times needlessly, like just stupid passes. Frimpong done it a few times, Szoboszlai done it once or twice. It was just, it doesn't reflect how the game actually pans out when you see these stats about our passing. Like you said, 95% of our passing is the four defenders passing it back and forth along the halfway line and back to the keeper. Like it doesn't translate to success up the pitch. Like, it's just a severely inflated stat. Like, you see, Palace had 65% passing accuracy and they carved us open. So, like, this whole thing of just keeping the ball in the halfway line, it just doesn't do anything. And, like, going back to what you said about players not moving and making space, I think we definitely missed Ekitike today. I think, not to slag off Isak, but I think Ekitike definitely gets more involved with link-up play and stuff. And I think if he was on the pitch today, I think it could have been a different outcome. But not to slag off Isak, because I thought he was decent when he got the ball. He just didn't get the ball very often.
So, from my understanding, the reason we keep the ball so much is to, one, try to create that perfect moment, that perfect pass, but two, to not turn over possession. So, if one of the reasons that we're keeping the ball and moving the ball is to try to not turn over possession, well, it's still our Achilles heel and we're still being countered. So, I would like to see us take those chances more. Like you said, 65% possession for Palace, or excuse me, successful completed passes for Palace. It doesn't look great in paper, but you know what it means? It means they're trying things. It means they're having a go to try and create those situations. And one or two of those moments come off and it's a difference in the game. Whereas our 87% or 89%, Conor, what did we do with it? Not really a lot.
Exactly, yeah. It's not like penetrative. It's all just passing along the halfway line, playing too safe. Like, I don't know, maybe that's just the way football is going, to be fair. Like, we're used to seeing Jurgen Klopp last couple of years just full heavy metal throwing it forward. But, like, Slot is definitely a change in terms of he wants that defensive stability, which is ironic considering we don't look defensively stable one bit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that type of football. But, like, if we get results, fair enough. But on days like this, it's very, very frustrating to watch and just keep seeing us do the same things over and over again and without any kind of success or results.
So I want to talk about Ibrahim Konate for a few minutes. The easy, lazy thing would be for me to say Madrid's in his head, yada yada yada. I don't want to go down that route because truth is none of us can really guess what's going through his head. But what we do know is he's played 6 league games and he's been terrible in the first 2, decent for the next 3, if not good, and then Dejan Lovren levels of bad today. Like, that first 45 minutes from him, he was, I said it before and I'm going to repeat it, he was Mateda's bitch.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I remember he said that during the watch along and I thought the exact same thing. He was completely just, I don't know what the word is, smothered, just outclassed, outdone, everything. Like, I don't think he done a single thing right in that first half or the second half. He was just, every ball that came to him seemed to make a mistake. He just wasn't getting in the air as much as usual. He wasn't strong, like everything. He was just completely outclassed. And like we said, it could be an easy point to say his head's in Madrid, but like, he played well for 2 or 3 games this season. So why did he play well then and not today or not other games? Like, it's just, he just doesn't look right recently. And like, he is a much better player than he's looked today. But yeah, very, very poor. I thought he was probably the worst player on the pitch, in all honesty.
And the biggest, I guess, sticking point there is you look towards the bench and you've got a Joe Gomez who looked pretty poor midweek, and that's it. We obviously, Giovanni Leone's injured. Nobody could have really planned for that one, but so the options aren't even there to start holding defenders to account because, you know, if you play Gomez and he goes as bad as he was midweek, we've the same problem. So that's certainly something that I'm concerned about. But what concerns me even more, Conor, is we're now 8 games into a new season and I don't see progression yet. I don't see an understanding of the system from the players yet. And I don't see even patches. I mean, you edited the podcast midweek and you would have seen myself and Steve talking about wanting to see a good period of play from Liverpool, not 15, 20 minutes, a half or an hour. I don't know we've got much of that today, except when we went into desperation mode, chasing the game in the second half, and it was time to start just putting on every forward-thinking player we could.
Yeah, and it's kind of the thing. Like I remember the Atletico game, for example, is probably one of our best performances. That was a game where I think as far as I know, we only had 2 players on the pitch that day that weren't new signings. I think that kind of speaks a lot to the fact that the players are still settling in. Like we had in that game, we had our basically the same midfield from last season, which they all know where each other are going to be, to know how everyone operates. Like we're still just very disjointed at the minute, and not to blame Wirtz too much, but I think he's a big part of that. Just the fact that he's taken up such a pivotal point of our attack and our midfield, and he's not quite settled in yet. So like the rest of the team around him is not going to be performing at a high level when he's struggling as well. So it is like you said, we would want to see some sort of progression over these games. It seems like we're almost like, are we getting worse? It's hard to know. Like we haven't been fantastic, but this was probably the first game that we've said we've been absolutely awful. Like the other games we had periods of domination and periods of playing well. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting next few weeks. I think Galatasaray during the week and then Chelsea at the end of the week. Like if we can't win at least one and draw the other one of them, or we should be winning the 2 of them really, but it could be a very, very big week if we can't perform at the levels we can perform at.
What winds me up is midweek we played Southampton. We rested Alisson, we rested Van Dijk, we rested Konate, we rested Szoboszlai, we rested Wirtz, we rested Gravenberch, we rested Salah, we rested Gakpo. And did you think we seen the benefit of that rest out there today in any way, shape, or form? It almost looked as if they were just mentally and physically exhausted and didn't have it in them after a week's rest. That's what really winds me up. They had the time to plan and prepare for this, knowing there was going to be a much changed team for Southampton. And we looked like they were the other way around. We looked like we were the team that put out a strong team midweek, and Palace looked like that they were the team that had the fresh legs. It was really concerning to me, Conor, that after a week's rest, they were that poor.
Yeah, I wonder, is nearly like if you're took out of rhythm in that sense, like is it almost the opposite? Like the player, like you always hear likes of Salah in particular, like wanting to be playing every single week. Like I know they need rest, but they don't want to be missing games. I wonder, is it just a little bit of, I don't know. It's hard to know really, but I don't know. I'm lost for words in all honesty. It's just like it makes no sense. I'm trying to think of an argument. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, really, to wonder like why would that be the case, and I actually can't come up with anything. Like it is just, it's very disappointing to see.
And also, the vulnerability from set pieces. Have you any idea what's causing it? Because all I can think of is a lack of aggression. I hate zonal marking when we do it a lot of the time as well, because I don't feel it gives our defenders a good running start or a chance to attack the ball from a standing position. But I can't for the life of me figure out exactly what has gone wrong for them. It's not like we're a small team and it's a height issue. We've got big centre-backs in there. We've got a good goalkeeper who's commanding of his area. Any ideas from you about why we are so vulnerable from so many set pieces?
I wonder at this point, is it just a confidence thing? Like we've seen like Gravenberch fuck up this week and give it straight to them. Endo done the same last week. It could just be a bit of a hoodoo around it now. Like everyone's wondering like when the ball's coming in, are we fully confident that, or even let's say like Konate has been struggling. Like I wonder like do the rest of the players kind of think like he used to bail us out, now he's not? Like these kind of things. It's probably an amalgamation of things, but I fully agree with you on the zone marking thing. Like I never understood it. And when you see, I can't think of a specific example from today, but you'd often see like their tallest player being marked by Florian Wirtz or someone. It just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like I'm sure there is a benefit to it, but I can't see what kind of, I don't know why you'd pick that over. Just stick the tall lads on the tall lads.
So when Arna said the league's becoming more and more about set pieces, I'm going to keep coming back to that throw-in we had down by their corner flag that ended up on the halfway line. I'll never ever understand why we're afraid to go direct at times, because we love doing it when Verds is in possession, pinging diagonal balls in behind or into the channels. We have a chance there to try to create a moment of mayhem, have a second ball break for us, win a header, flick on at the near post, anything, and we go backwards to the halfway line. I'm lost for words. Why would you do that? Like 5 yards from the corner flag, not even looking to get a cross in. And that's another thing, by the way. I feel like we don't put anywhere near enough balls into the penalty area. Sometimes in the second half, there was a few decent ones played across the 6-yard box, but more often than not, it's cut inside, played around the 18-yard box side to side. I'm really hung up on that thing, though, with the throw-in, mate. It really bugs me because it's a chance to attack the 18-yard box and we didn't take it. And then the manager has the cheek to start talking about it becoming a set-piece league.
Yeah, I think he kind of meant more about set pieces, to be fair, in defensive situations. Like, we've given away 2 goals recently from them. But I fully agree. Like, I think it goes back to what we were saying about just the passing around the midfield and the defence. It seems to be like, instead of just taking a chance and a risk, we want to pass the ball around, have the ball for 15, 20 passes, and then find the pass, rather than just, like, if it's a 70% chance, we don't go for it. We'll only go for something if it's like a 90% chance, which very rarely pops up. And we need to take a little bit more of a risk with these things. And yeah, it's very frustrating to watch, especially like when, even at times, like, what was it? Was it Szoboszlai today? I think he had the ball in the box, no one really around him, and he just decided to cut back in again and try to pass rather than just shoot. Like, there's so many times where we could just put the laces through and test the keeper. Like, there's the old saying of, like, if you don't shoot, you're not going to score. If you don't buy a ticket, you won't win the lottery. And we just never seem to buy a ticket. Like, it's just not fun to watch at times.
So I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Mohamed Salah on the right-hand side. Once again, Arna seems unwilling, incapable to take him off when he's not performing. And you can talk about options today, fair enough, but Chiesa came on and he could have easily have come on the right-hand side. What do you think is causing this worrying start from Salah? Is it being overemphasized, and can the manager continue to ignore Federico Chiesa? I mean, I read out something, Conor, that you sent to me just before the game, and it was about Arna almost begrudgingly admitting that Chiesa has to get more game time now. I mean, the wording of that I thought was fascinating, in that, well, you know, he did well now, so he probably deserves to get. No, he absolutely deserves the chance. And in no world do I think he shouldn't be getting a run on the right-hand side soon, because Salah cannot live off reputation alone. And before anybody starts saying stop the Salah hate, it isn't hate. It's just calling it as we see it. We know what he's done in the past. We know how great he is. But for some reason, whether it's new teammates, whether it's still mourning Diogo's loss, whatever it is, we aren't seeing Mohamed Salah. And Chiesa is like a man possessed that wants to make a difference. Do you think that the calls for Arna not subbing Salah are valid?
I think so. I think, like, well, I don't think we're at the point where we start dropping him from the starting 11, but definitely if we're getting to 55, 65 minutes and he's not performing, he has to be an option to come off. Like, we can't just live off, like you said, the reputation or the fact that he could score a goal. Like, yes, he could score a goal, but Isak could also score a goal. Chiesa could also score a goal coming off the bench. Gakpo could score a goal. Like, you can't just live off the hope that he will have a moment. And going back to Chiesa, I think what you said was spot on about that quote from Slot. I thought the exact same thing. I thought it was almost like he was going like, damn it, like he actually was good, wasn't he? Like, I've been proved wrong. But I think he will see Chiesa probably as more of a threat to Gakpo's slot, or just kind of another option through the middle. I don't think he's going to be forcing him down the right ahead of Salah anytime soon. But I think if we are to see Chiesa more, which we probably should, I'd say to be on the left. But yeah, 100%, I think Salah shouldn't be undroppable. I wouldn't quite drop him from the starting 11 just yet, but he should be getting subbed off if he's not performing in a game.
So for context to everybody, this is the quote we're speaking about. It was Arne Slot speaking about Chiesa, and he said, if he didn't do as well as he did against Southampton, we would probably not look at him as if he gets more playing time. But he did so well that it normally leads to a bit more playing time if you can keep producing in training sessions and in the moments we bring him in. Well, at some point, those moments he's talking about have to transfer into starts, because he did it midweek. He was responsible for both the goals midweek, let's be honest, in the League Cup. Came on today, created a chance that he was unlucky with, then scored. So the manager has to back up his own words now and stop ignoring a player that is good enough to play, that has the desire to play, that the fans want to play, and that deserves to play. If Arne Slot doesn't start playing him now at this point, Conor, it feels like he has an agenda against them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, I think we both agree the fact that he was never going to start today after playing his first full 90 minutes for the club on Wednesday or during the week. So I think fair enough today, but yeah, he could have probably brought him on a little bit sooner. He should definitely be starting against Galatasaray. I think he's deserved that. I think he should be getting somewhere in that front three, wherever it is. I'm happy to put him on either side or through the middle. I think he's just been absolute quality since he has come back. And actually, I think, like, we didn't really see the real case of last season. I think we are seeing it now. So I'm excited to see more of him, and I hope that Slot does give him a chance. Because, like you said, if he doesn't, then there's something gone wrong if he doesn't, because he has just been he's definitely been one of our better players the last few weeks, even though he hasn't played a huge amount. But he's just been fantastic when he has played. So yeah, he has to get on the pitch more.
Talking about our £125 million striker and Alexander Isak, I'd like the audience watching this to know how they've seen him so far since he's come in. Obviously, he is playing catch up. We know that. Today, Conor, at one point, me and you were messaging you in the first half, and towards the latter part of it, I think he'd had like 5 touches. So it's
Yeah, I
not
think like
like
47 minutes in was 5 touches.
yeah, and it's not like he was wasting chances or anything. We just did not get him involved in the game. So we're gonna have to find out a way now again to play with a number 9 who plays on the shoulder. But I think what you said earlier on in this podcast made absolute sense. Ekitike would have been a different way to play that game today. He would have come deeper. He would have created space in behind. They're two very different strikers, but we need to find out ways to play with those two very different strikers and to understand their movements. And that will come with time. But I wanted to know what you thought of what you've seen from Isak today when he was involved.
Yeah, for the very limited amount of chances he got, I thought he was quite good when he actually got the ball. Like he seems to just be very good at making a chance out of not a whole lot. Like what was the one he kind of came in off the left? He played a 1-2, I think, with Wirtz, and he kind of fell over as he went to go take the shot. Like probably should have scored, could have scored, but like it was just a chance that he created from nothing, and just the little touches he does around the box, he's great at opening up a little bit of space for himself to shoot. So I've no doubt long term he's going to be absolutely brilliant and bang in a lot of goals. But again, like I said earlier, I think this was more of an Ekitike type of game, and it's a real shame that he couldn't play. Like, are we looking back at a situation now with slightly different, like thinking, like, damn, like if we hadn't done that stupidity and taken off the shirt, he would have been there. We could have maybe got a result today. It's like the repercussions of that have caught up with us slightly. Like it's disappointing, but yeah, I have no long term worries about Isak, but I think Ekitike would have been better today.
So one thing I think a lot of Liverpool fans will admit to is that we've been fortunate. We've talked about champions mentality, winning games late, but we've also papered over a lot of the cracks. So today, obviously, should be a wake-up call to those guys because we need to start performing better. And we have a very difficult game next week at Stamford Bridge to head into. So do you think this could be a potential turning point for us to wake up and realize that we can't just stroll through games, rely for late winners? We've got to be at it from the off. I mean, we spoke about winning games late in the past. We've had other times we've spoken about only being a half a team playing in the first half, getting a lead and then backing off. You know, we need to find the balance between aggression, directness, and using the quality in and around us. But again, I want to just ask, do you think today will serve as our Nottingham Forest moment of this season?
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Like last year, we had that disappointing loss, which turned out to, like in fairness, Nottingham Forest were a very good team last year. I don't think we realised at the time when we did lose just how good they were. But I suppose you could say the same about Crystal Palace this year as well. Like they have been fantastic so far, and they're on that crazy unbeaten run. So like it's easy to kind of sit here and say like everything is horrendous. Like we lost to Crystal Palace, but Crystal Palace have been good, so it's not quite as bad as you might think at a glance. But again, not good. But sorry, I'm saying both a lot there. Pivotal week, in fairness, yeah, like Galatasaray is going to be a tough one. I think like if we don't win that one, that's 2 games in a row, then we haven't won. And then you're going into a tricky away game at Stamford Bridge. I know Chelsea have their injuries, but you have to be getting the win there if you're not winning 2 games in a row. We can't go 3 games without a win going into the next international break. That won't be good at all.
What we've also done with this result today is give a jolt in the arm to Mikel Arteta and those Arsenal players. You know, playing first is great. If you win, it puts the pressure back on your opponents. And they have a very difficult game coming up away at St. James's Park. And I have no doubt that they will now have extra speed, extra energy, extra belief, knowing that if they can pick up that away win, it cuts the gap to us. They're within striking distance of us, and the league becomes, again, a lot more interesting for everybody. I feel that there's a real willingness for the media and others to want a proper title race this year. This result today, though, Conor, no doubt will give Arsenal increased confidence and something more to play for tomorrow against Newcastle.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of them ones, like, if we had won today, we're sitting back thinking, yeah, there's a very good chance Arsenal drop points tomorrow, but suddenly we're 7 or 8 points ahead. Like, it's a very different situation to now where we're looking at if they do get a result, it's 2 points. And then we have Chelsea next week, which isn't going to be easy. So it's a huge swing there if you look at it that way. But hopefully Newcastle can do the job against them, take at least a point or hold them to a draw, and we're not looking at it as badly. But just looking at the table here now, like we have Crystal Palace actually sitting in second now with 12 points. City then on 10 and Arsenal will be on 13 if they win. So yeah, they will be breathing down their necks definitely if they get the result tomorrow.
So what should Arne do with Florian Wirtz now in the next month, 2 months? Because he's tried him in a couple of different positions around the pitch. I thought it was an interesting choice today to put him at left side. I did call for it midweek, but he didn't really repay that. Where do you think we should be playing him? Or are we at a point now where we need to just solidify and go back to Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai in that midfield until we get into a rhythm again, and then maybe bring Wirtz in off the bench or put a bit less pressure on his shoulders? Or does he deserve to have that pressure as a £100+ million player?
It's a bit of both, really, isn't it? Like, yeah, I was going to say the same as you, kind of go back to that midfield that we know, especially in these next few tough games. Like, Galatasaray away is not going to be an easy atmosphere for him. But then that could be the thing that gets him over the line. If he has one good game in a really high pressure situation, that could be the turning point. So you don't really want to rob him of that either. Like, you can't take a player out, not really put him into these pressured situations, and then just hope he'll magically perform. So it is a tricky one. I personally wouldn't be playing him out on the left because I think the number 10 position is his favourite position. That's kind of what he was told when he was coming to the club, that he would be the central cog in that attack. And I think if we start to take him out of that, we're again not letting him settle into what he was brought in to do. So I think stick him in the 10. I'd probably play him in one of the games. I don't know which one I go with. Probably take him out for Galatasaray, I'd say, and pull him back in for Chelsea. That's what I do.
I wanted to finish up for the last 5 or 10 minutes talking about the two fullback positions. And if we can, we'll start on the right-hand side. We've seen everyone today, basically. We've seen Bradley there. Frimpong was brought on. And I think it's fair to say, Conor, if we did a poll now, we'd say probably our best right back of the season has been Dominic Szoboszlai. And yet again today, I thought when he was put into that position, he did it better than anybody else. Is that a concern?
That's definitely a concern because we can't be leaving him out there. Like, he's too good to be put right back. Like, he's just so good when he's in the middle. But I'd fully agree that he was definitely the best of the three today. Like, I thought Conor Bradley in the first half, absolutely horrendous going forwards, slightly better defensively. Like, had one or two moments where he had one or two blocks. Frimpong was just completely just a headless chicken when he came on. He just didn't do a thing right. I thought that was just, it was shocking. Kerkez on the other side as well. Let's go on to left back. I thought he was horrendous today. Like, even at the dying moments there, like, he refused to kick the ball out with his right foot, came back onto the left, gave them a throw in that led to their goal to win it. It's a tough one when you have Kerkez and Frimpong coming in. You already have Bradley and Robertson coming in the summer, and then you think, oh, that's that box off, and then neither of them are really settling in as we'd have hoped. Like, it is a big problem, and like you said, Szoboszlai looked like our best fullback today, which is never ideal when you're losing one of your better midfielders to a position like that when you shouldn't really be needing to do that in the first place.
What really bugs me about what we've seen from Kerkez so far is more what we haven't seen from Kerkez so far, which is those bombing overlapping runs enough or underlapping runs enough. It almost feels like we've sacrificed one of the very traits we brought him in for, which was to
it's definitely like Slot is definitely telling him to do that. That's the thing. Like, it's definitely the tactics rather than him personally on that. Like,
yeah, you brought him in. Like, if we're going to play with let's say a Frimpong and a Kerkez, you want them high and wide. And you want them aggressive and attacking. And yes, teams are going to try and find the space in behind, but that's why we've got two pacey centre-backs and a goalkeeper plays on the edge of his box. But we're not seeing that from time after time again today. He got the ball left-hand side and there was nobody there. Had to check back inside. We're not committing enough, and we're caught in this halfway house of keeping the ball and not having enough aggression or penetration going forward. And if we're going to use our fullbacks for it, why aren't we doing it wholeheartedly? Like we keep saying, like the two pacey wingbacks we've brought in, they're not being utilised in the way that we would want to use them, which is using that attacking pace and directness to have a go at people. It's really, really worrying when we're still now talking about probably putting Robbo back in again and not really having a solution at right back.
yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about just the cautious approach. Like, I think that kind of ties in with, like, you want like the Frimpong and Kerkez high up, bombing down the wing, getting in crosses. But like you said, we don't seem to be sending them up the pitch at all. And when they do, they seem to just be cutting in because that's obviously the instructions. Like, we're not getting to the byline, getting the balls back across. Like, it is worrying. Like, I don't know where. I'm not worried in the sense that I don't think we're completely fall off rank, but like, we definitely do need to start finding solutions in the next few weeks, because if this is still going on in November, December, come up to Christmas, it's going to be very hard to compete for the whole season in 4 different trophies if we still haven't really figured out where we're going wrong or how to get onto the right path to get to that level that we know this team can get to.
There's been an interesting, I don't want to call it a narrative, but a conversation point around part of our defensive frailty being from Ryan Gravenberch. And what I mean by that is nobody's saying Gravenberch isn't a wonderful footballer, but is he combative enough from the defensive side? We know he's press resistant. We know that he's good at intercepting. We know that he can break lines and pick a pass. But do you think there's any weight to that argument that perhaps he hasn't got that Fabinho, Rodri level of being able to just sit in front of a back two with the centre backs and just break up play and cut stuff out?
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for that. Like you see, I think often like you see him here drop between the centre backs even when the fullbacks do push up a little bit, and like he's basically playing as a very, very defensive player then, and he's not really that type of player. Like you said, he's press resistant, but his main thing is getting the ball and progressing it forward, then marauding runs through midfield. Like he's not a destroyer, like I said, like a Fabinho, or even if looking at our squad, like Endo is much more of a just purely just break people apart, get the ball, just split out passes. Like Gravenberch isn't quite that type of player, but I don't think he himself would even say he's that type of player. Like I think it depends on the type of game. Like in a game like today where there was an attacking threat, he is a little bit exposed. But in a game where the other team has no attacking threat at it at all, it works perfectly because he doesn't need to do that, and all of his good qualities shine through. But definitely a little bit on that way of like, yeah, he's not a Fabinho, like he said. He's not going to be that lad who completely cleans up and destroys everyone. Like that's just not who he is.
I want to bring you back to the first half and the free kick that we had on the edge of the Crystal Palace penalty area just before there was that long delay. I believe there was a medical emergency. Sincerely hope that person's okay. But I still, to this moment, kind of don't know why Salah took that free kick. I mean, if you look to where it was even, it was slightly left of centre of the 18-yard box. It was suited to a right footer to curl it over the wall and into the corner. Dean Henderson was very far across to his near post. And yet Salah steps up and hits the ball straight into the wall, mid-chest height, not even looking like it's going to the far side of the goal. I was flabbergasted that Szoboszlai didn't take that.
Has Salah ever scored a free kick? Like, I was never really a fan of him taking frees or penalties for that matter. Like, I know we've had that discussion a few times.
Last week's one, remember, he just hit completely into an area arseways that Robbo took a leg out and it went in, but it wasn't a particularly great free kick.
Yeah, I think if you watch that one back, he was trying to drill it along the ground. Isak was coming into the back post. I think that was the play there, but luckily he came off Robertson. But like I said, has he ever actually scored directly from a free kick? He probably has at some point, but he shouldn't be the one taking it. It's like Szoboszlai is there. In my opinion, a free kick like that is almost too close to shoot because like it's so hard to get the ball up and over the wall when you're that close anyway. So maybe it should have just been rolled out and take a shot or some sort of trickery done. But Salah blasted into the wall. Definitely wasn't the right option there.
So I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, but January, we've been told by Paul Joyce that Liverpool don't expect to be going back in for Mark A in that market. They feel like they don't want to pay money for a player that they could get for nothing at the end of the year. And I'm okay with that as long as somebody else is brought in January with Mark A's view to the future at the end of the season, because like I said, Konate's future is still up in the air. So for you, is there any argument not to buy a centre-back in January?
I don't think there is, especially like you look at, we have Van Dijk, Konate and Gomez. Konate has been absolutely shocking. Gomez has been shocking and is injury prone. Konate is injury prone as well. So we basically, let's say we have two defenders out of three really, and we can't be competing with two like fully fit defenders at all times. Like fair enough, Mark A, you might have his he might have agreed to join next summer regardless. Like we might have that checked off and we're thinking, right, we don't want to spunk 20 million on this lad who's going to come for free anyway. But you can't go into a busy period of the season with two or three centre backs, probably two, because I'm banking on one of them is probably going to be injured at some point. And like whether we go out and sign someone else, then like say if we know Konate is leaving, do we go big for the likes of a Bastoni in January? Will he even want to move in January? Like who do you actually get? Like who is actually available? Like Mark A, he's probably the obvious one, but then Palace know we're going to be desperate to get him if we do come back in, so they hold all the cards. So it's going to be a very interesting one. But no part of me thinks it's acceptable to not sign a centre back in January.
So for me, I look at it like this. Mark A, like I said, yeah, end of season. If he's going to come and he wants to wait till then, okay. But you still have the narrative of Konate is going to be leaving. And if you don't get an answer from him before December, January, I think you've got to plan to bring somebody in then. Gomez next summer. Well, look, we probably would have let Gomez go this summer. That Milan thing was looking likely to happen, only for it was very late in the window, and they didn't have a chance to get the medical done, and we didn't get Mark A. So I think there are question marks over 2 long-term potential centre-backs at our club. And that, for that alone, I think it makes sense to go into the market in January. Tail Konate, you either sign the contract by end of November, or we're going to have to start looking for a centre-back to replace you longer term, and we'll bring in Mark A as well. That's where I'm at with it, because we can't go through the season with, this pretense of they're still talking, it might happen. He knows what he wants to do at this point. Same way Trent knew what he wanted to do. And if it's about money, I don't think we're going to be that far away, because this is 3 offers. If there's a number and the number's being put out there and told to Liverpool, well, again, it's a simple yes or no, isn't it? We'll either get to that number or we don't. But a definitive decision needs to be made, because we cannot go through another season with this hanging over us. And mate, me and you look at the media every day for our stories. We're going to see Madrid stories every goddamn week approaching January, and then from January to the end of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be never ending. And like you said, like, if we were getting anywhere close to getting a deal with Konate, I think we'd see that at this point. Like, the English media has just been so quiet on any kind of positives on this. Like, I remember, like, last season, even with Salah and Van Dijk coming out publicly, even with Trent, was a little bit of like, oh, like, Anfield sources are optimistic. Like, there's just none of that with Konate. Like, it seems to be very much like we just said, here's an offer, he said no. Here's another offer, he said no. Here's another offer, he said no. And it just doesn't seem to be getting any closer. So I'm not optimistic on that one. And like you said, we're just going to be reading every day about how Real Madrid think he's the best thing since sliced bread. And then the next day they're going to be saying they don't want him. And then they're going to be saying again that they want him again. And we're just going to have to listen to this back and forth for the next 6 months. And that's never fun. Like, we just don't need to be reading that when we're trying to compete for trophies.
And he's not exactly going to be, saying to Liverpool, well, look, you can't survive without me, on the level of performance that he's playing now. So he's not exactly doing his own wage demands.
He's not doing what Salah done last year. Like, Salah was banging in the goals during all that contract talks. Like the equivalent.
And
to that
same with Virgil last year as well. Virgil was stepping up and putting in top level performances. Konate is not even justifying the wage increase that perhaps he's looking for. And look, 200 grand a week has been mentioned numerous times by people. I don't see a 200 grand a week defender there for me. And so I reiterate, I think we have to sign a centre back in January. Look, folks, that is pretty much where we're at for this episode of the podcast. But I feel like it would only be fair again to finish up by saying, as we started, we talked about a lot today. We discussed our gripes, we discussed our hopes, our aspirations, and our fears. But it is also very incumbent and fair upon us to give the credit to Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace. They were the better team today. There was no luck that beat us. There was no refereeing decisions that beat us. Crystal Palace beat us. They deserved to win. And for that, give them their credit. Thank you so much to Conor. Thank you to you guys for watching and listening as well. And we'll be back with another episode really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.